Welcome back to another episode of Into the Airbnb, where we talk with Airbnb hosts about their short-term rental experience. Our guest for today is Matthew Mitras, co-founder of Manage My STR, a nationwide short-term rental management and services company. Join us in this interview to hear more about the services they offer, how can they help you grow your Airbnb business, how much on average you can expect to make with their help, and how to join their portfolio. This episode is sponsored by Airbnb, short-term rental analytics for high-return investments, comprehensive data for insights, ideas, and inspiration. Go to app.airbnb.com to find precise Airbnb data such as occupancy rate, revenue, average daily rate, and so on. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, can you tell me a little bit about how did you got started with Airbnb, and also how did you started this whole Manage My STR company?
Yeah. When COVID happened, I actually got the opportunity to work fully remote. And then I went down to San Antonio to purchase my first duplex. And that's where I ended up meeting my business partner, David, who had been doing this for a couple of years now. He owns and operates a cleaning company down in San Antonio. And I was going down the wormhole of, Airbnb, real estate in general. And, I knew a guy like this. He had a tremendous amount of knowledge that I was interested in learning about. So, I brought up the idea of rental arbitrage to him, and he mentioned that he was doing this already in some capacity. And I said, hey, why don't you and I team up and go in on a couple of units together? And that's exactly what we ended up doing. So we together got, I believe it was 5 units. That was our initial seed together. And from there, other, people in San Antonio started reaching out to us about, hey, I know you're in this Airbnb thing. Could you give me some tips on how to, get my property up and running there? And then next thing you know, our portfolio grew to managing 17 properties. And, now we have a team across the country that helps support these properties. And after conversations with Dave, we both said, hey, this is the direction we want to go, managing short-term rentals across the country for people.
And what was the initial direction of the company? Were you just helping people manage their short-term rentals, doing co-hosting, doing rental arbitrage?
Yeah. Well, I guess more than co-hosting. So we do the maintenance and repairs. We handle the cleanings. As I said before, Dave owns and operates a cleaning company. So the vision was initially, I guess, to take a step back. Initially, we were just giving advice, but then people said, hey, can you just manage this? I don't want to have to think about this. I know that the revenue streams are stronger in the short-term rental space than they are long-term. So let's figure out a cut between us that works. So yeah, from the onset, it was short-term rental property management, full service, not co-hosting.
Oh, so you started right away, like that way, full service.
Yeah, exactly, right away. Because we were doing that for our properties, so we extended that out to others as well.
Mm-hmm. And when did you started this? What year? What time of that year?
2020.
2020, like still on the whole COVID thing, or when things were a little bit cool off?
No, this is like in the heat of COVID is when we had started.
And how was your experience starting, business like this in the middle of COVID?
Yeah, so I would say it's an interesting question. I know right when COVID happened, Airbnb took a hit, Host took a hit. But when I was launching, I did not experience that. Airbnb was actually booming because people like myself were going remote and they needed places to stay. and there just wasn't, you wouldn't want to get locked into a 12-month contract. And Airbnb was just an option to do, weekly or monthly stays. So it was actually a really good time for me to get started.
I couldn't have imagined that. That's really great. Did you start it like there in your area in San Antonio? That's where the people were, going remote and Airbnb was going strong at that time?
Yeah, that's where we began. And like I said, people started reaching out to us. Hey, can you manage this? Can you manage that? And since Dave's local San Antonio, he has a pretty large network because he's cleaning a lot of Airbnbs already. It was an easy way for us to connect with people that were doing this and bringing them on board so that we can manage their properties.
Okay, so that was amazing. Your business basically started by going, mouth to mouth. People knew what you were doing and like you to do it for them. That's how
Yeah,
it got spread, basically.
and it still really grows that way. I
Mm-hmm.
would say 85% of our business is all referral based. We're looking into marketing, but I mean, right now, I think the best way to grow in general is referral based. And if we can keep this consistent growth, I don't see us having to go down some sort of paid advertising route anytime soon.
Great. That's actually really good. That's how most of this business work, but your work like that since the very beginning. So that's amazing. Can you tell me a little bit how did you decide to grow this business nationwide?
Yeah, well, so I'm from New York City, and my background is in software engineering. And I also had the luck of being very involved in helping companies outsource operations outside of having internal employees. So my background is just always being fully remote. How can you get people to support your operations without actually having to own the units of production? And Dave is very good at the physical world, tracking and managing cleaners, tracking and managing contractors, electricians, plumbers. He's very good at that side. Combine us together, it's a very powerful force for just remotely operating a physical asset, real estate. So I'm able to, with our team, build software that helps us do this at a very cost efficient way and also while maintaining, superior quality. So, knowing that, we both said, okay, we can do this around the country. I have a unique skill set and he has a very unique skill set. So that's how we decided to go remote. And what powers us, the little mix of the software that I built for the team. So, for example, and there's probably not many people that can do this, but an email comes in from booking.com, let's say. Well, I'm able to parse that email and I can send that data into our CRM. And then I can have our team, you know, start organizing all the details around that booking. So getting the pre handling all the pre-check-in stuff and all the other parts of the business that need to go smoothly for that booking.
That's actually amazing and super, super interesting. So
Yeah, I appreciate that.
another thing that I like to ask you about is your clients. They usually come with their Airbnb like ready. They already started and they just want you to manage it because they found out it's just too much work for them, or do they come with this property they bought and they want to do short-term rentals with them and they just give it all to you for you to do everything since the very beginning of it?
I would say most of them just come with absolutely nothing, and then they say, "Hey, what do I need to get this property up and running?" So, how do I furnish it? How do I attract this tenant? What's the best smart lock? How should I secure my property? Do I need, you know, to get something like Simply Safe, or can I just use a Ring doorbell camera and some floodlights in the backyard? So we're giving them strategic advice on how to set up their property, and then from there, we get photography in, and we handle all the marketing from that point on.
Also, you don't help them, for example, like buying the property and setting up everything. You just advise them, and then when it's ready, you start working on it, like with marketing, finance, whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah. And we also, David's a real estate agent. So I know that he's helped people purchase and then we take over and manage.
Oh, that's amazing. So you are really full service then.
Yes.
Okay, that's amazing. Can you tell me if some of your clients they ever come with their Airbnb ready and they say, "Hey, this is my numbers, my revenue, my average daily rate," and they are not satisfied with it? With your management, is it possible for it to increase on a significant number?
Absolutely. We have a couple of tools that we use, right? Like it's no secret you have Price Labs, you have AirDNA, and you can really gauge like, hey, is this person really making as much as they can? What are the highest grossing Airbnbs that are comparable to this person's unit? What are they making on average? And we look at your Airbnb profile, for example, right? Like, or the titles and descriptions. Are these things, assisting you in your search engine optimization on these platforms? Are they, really detracting from your ability to get eyes on the property and ultimately conversions? So it's a mix.
And is there any number you can give me for that? How much is the usual increase? For example, I know in a percentage or in a big number. Can you tell me?
This truly depends on the location and
Mm-hmm.
but for a place like Charlotte, we just had an amazing story and we helped increase revenue by 43% this past month. So we do have good stories like that, but for an on average on the portfolio, I just don't have an actual number for you, and
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't want to be disingenuous.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine. So 43% in just 1 month, did you manage to get that increase for one property? Oh, that's actually real amazing. And what about the properties that you manage from the start, from scratch? Do the clients usually are satisfied with the revenue they're getting with your management?
Yeah, absolutely. On average, gross and they're grossing, I would say 3,000, 4,500 on average. And a lot of our clients, they come from the long-term rental world, and where they were renting out their units for 1,100, and then when they're bringing in on a month 4,000, they're mind blown. This is a totally new reality for them. I would say they're definitely grateful that we're there and we're guiding them through this new landscape.
Yeah, that's actually amazing. That's a really big number. I can imagine how surprised they must be when they, see the change and how grateful they are for your service, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
mhm.
And
Can you,
and we're
yeah?
we're also, we're boutique, we're small, we're casual. We're trying to keep the portfolio. We don't want to grow it too large where Matt can't jump on a call or Dave can't jump on a call. So I think the big thing that kind of separates us, outside of, Matt, is a software engineer and Dave is really good with the physical operations. It really comes down to I can get on the phone with anybody. If you have a problem, you can always contact me. And because we keep the portfolio very tight and we're very selective with who we work with and the customer service at the end of the day that I actually think is what separates us from others.
Mm-hmm. And now that you told me a little bit about that, can you tell me about selection process you do for the people you're going to manage for? If you can disclose that, of course, like just something general, that'd be great to hear.
Yeah, just very high level. I have a background in consulting, and when I first had started doing that, I would have some clients that just weren't great to work with, and I always said like, all right, going forward, I never realized how important it is on the emotional side to really connect with your client. And I would say that's the number one thing that I'm looking for. Issues arise. How are you going to handle it? Are you going to be, texting me frantically, sending me emails that are all over the place and hard to read? That's someone I want to avoid at all costs. I want to work with someone that's, hey, I want to scale, I want to grow, I have 3 units. This is my vivid vision. You're very clear, you're very transparent, you're nice, you're respectful of my time, you understand the value of time, you're not tripping over, you know, pennies. That's somebody that I'm trying to work with.
Yeah, sounds about right. And do you both plan to keep this going like for the long term, always keeping the portfolio really tight according to just people you know you're going to be you're working with?
Yeah, I will always, that's something I want to keep, because that impacts the culture of the company as well.
That's right.
It's not just me. You bring someone in and they start interacting with our team, that affects their day to day. And honestly, what I've learned is that your team is everything. If I can vet out somebody and know that they're not going to be a good fit for our culture because they're going to be abusing our team's time, and I'm going to protect my team so that they don't have to experience that. Those are the people that make or break the business. They're on the front lines. That they deserve every ounce of me being able to protect them. I'm not just in it for the money. There's other parts of this that are more important.
I fully understand, and that's actually really great that you do that. You take care of your team, as you said. They are very crucial for everything, right? So, can you tell me about what services can a client expect from you? Like everything you can list down, everything you can explain, so you can maybe catch someone here.
Yeah. So we do 24/7 guest communications. We're going to do all the marketing of your property,
Mm-hmm.
understand what kind of tenants are you looking to attract. Short term, are you looking for midterm? Are you looking for traveling nurses and business professionals? Is your goal just to break, over your mortgage and make sure that, your profit, you're able to keep expanding your portfolio? There's so many factors. We want to get to know you and your goals, and we'll set up your property for success in that way. And then when it comes to maintenance and repairs, we have a team. We're going to be able to have eyes on the property, have inspections done. And if you have unique attributes to your property, just let us know. We can figure out how to, service your property in that way. And then, obviously the turnovers. After every turnover, our team goes in, takes photos, submits a checklist, and that's another way that we get eyes on your property. And then also recently, what I've been noticing is a lot of our clients are very interested in setting up direct booking websites. And I am a software engineer, so I've been able to set up some websites for a client to get them off the OTAs like Airbnb and VRBO and allow them to grow their brand. We'll leverage their accounts and allow them to almost like white label us behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Can your client expect to be involved in some of these processes you do?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Some people are more hands-on. They're checking, the pricing. They're saying, hey, we want you to use our accounts and build our brand. So we have some clients that are like, hey, I don't want to hear anything. I just send me an invoice. Here's the way that, my accountant wants to see the data. Just send me an invoice at the end of the month and let's call it. And I mean, it really depends what level of involvement. At the end of the day, you get to speak to me. And during those intro calls, and I can tailor the product to what you want to see.
That's amazing. Can you tell me a little bit of the challenges that you have encountered as a property management service and also as an Airbnb host, if there's any?
I would say some of the challenges are just keeping track of the constant algorithm changes on these platforms. Airbnb has a huge part of the market share of just short term rentals in general. And when they're updating their algorithms, you really need to know what they're optimizing for. So I would say, would I call it a challenge that like I can't overcome? Of course not. Like that's why you hire me, like so that I do the research and I figure out, all right, going forward, of the month of June 2022, there was a recent algorithm change. Here are the things that we need to optimize for in our properties going forward. Here are the new attributes that we need to add. Here are the new keywords we need to be talking about. So, but that's truly the one part that can cause a high grossing property to the next month receive no bookings if you're not, constantly up to date with that information.
Yeah, I completely understand, and I agree with that. I've seen it, and I know that it's like one of the most important things when it comes to listing in Airbnb. So, lastly, if you want to advertise about your company, you can do it now. You have like free time for that.
What I would say to the community is you can find a short-term rental property management company that does all the things that I mentioned, right? Like there's not that many other things that you can offer, and there's so many companies that do this. The one thing that you can't actually get is good, or that differentiates these companies, is good customer service. And finding someone that's like very genuinely interested in making sure that their clients are receiving 110%. That's what I would say is going to be the biggest difference that Manage My STR is going to provide. I will literally be getting on the phone with you. Dave will literally get on the phone with you. Our team is 24/7. I know that we have had people switch from Vacasa and Evolve, and when they come work with us, they're just like, I reached out to Vacasa and it took them 5 days to get back to me and numerous follow-ups. Whereas working with you guys, I hear back from you the next hour. And I know even for myself, when I'm using a service and somebody just gets back to me and just lets me know that I was heard, I mean, that changes the relationship. That changes the outcomes of my goals because I was heard, and that problem, that thing got taken care of immediately. And I can promise you that over anything, that's what you're going to get from Manage My STR.
Can you leave us any contact info so any listener can contact you if they want to?
Yeah. So, you can reach out to me at matthew.metros@managemystr.com. MATTHEW.METROS@managemystr.com. You can also go to our website, managemystr.com. And then our other email would be operations@managemystr.com. You reach out to us on any of those platforms, so we'll get in touch with you literally within, the same hour in most cases.
Great. So also put them on the description so people can reach out to you like easily. And yeah, that'd be it for today. Thank you a lot for your time and for being my guest today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Into the Airbnb. We're looking for hosts and other people in the short-term rental industry to interview. If you have what we need and would like to share your experience in this podcast, please send us an email. All the info is at the end of the description.